Amen.
So we got some, they look kind of strange, so you haven't seen them yet, right? Yeah, but these are actually some of the part of our team before instructors. They just part of the team that's starting up the Narcoosee campus. So this is one of the part of this groups that for us the leadership that went over to Narcoosee to set up. So that's why they haven't been coming by. But this is a lesson that they've been teaching in the past. They agreed to teach again for us. Hopefully continue to teach in the next semesters. But this is Louis. Oh man, Louis Brothers and Dahlias.
It's been 3 years that we're doing things together.
I just checked them. I just got like a brain fart. But yeah, Louis and Idalias and both CPAs, very knowledgeable in what they're going to be teaching. So we're honored, we're excited to have them and teach in this class.
So, good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're talking about credit today. Sounds exciting, right? It's a great class. It's a great class. In today's world, where easy credit and financial pressure, there's you can go on a store, you walk in, grab something, before you get to the register, they're already asking you, you've been pre-approved, do you wanna apply for, a credit card? So credit is, easy access right now, and there's a lot of financial pressure just in general in society and economy. But the Bible offers us timeless wisdom on financial responsibility, right? So while borrowing is not condemned necessarily in the Bible, in the scripture does reminds us that debt can lead us into servitude. It can lead us to bondage, right? So verses like Proverbs 22:7, the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is a servant to the lender. It cautions us about becoming beholden of lenders, and it encourages us to be responsible and intentional with the use of credit. If you've been reading the book, or if you've been following Dave Ramsey, you should know that he does not believe in credit, right? He doesn't like credit. But in today's economy, you kind of have to leverage debt in certain situations to be able to acquire certain assets. So for example, if you're trying to buy a property or like a house, you have to leverage using debt, right, and gaining a mortgage to be able to purchase it. So that's why, although Dave Ramsey doesn't cover it in the book, or he completely discouraged people from getting it, we want to make sure that you guys have the tools to make wise decisions and be responsible when you are leveraging debt. So
I have a quick question for you guys. What do you think is the credit card debt in the US right now? You think it's going to be 100 million, 1.5 billion, 1.2 trillion, or?
that is way too much. So show of hands, A. Who thinks the household debt in 2025 is A, 100 million?
B?
B. Okay, B, I see B's. C?
C?
Anyone that says, wait, that's way too much? You say that's way too much.
The correct answer is C, $1.2 trillion. And I have a next question. That's how much you think is the average, we call it a revolving interest, paying your balance at the end of each month, and you always carry that balance to the next month. How much you think is the answer? More than 5,000 or less than 5,000?
How much balance do you guys think that household have? More,
In average.
less, in average, less than 5,000 a month, or more than 5,000? Yeah, more is the
More.
right answer.
The correct answer is 6,300. Everyone, that means that the average household in the US pay $1,500, $1,500 in interest each year, because right now the interest rate is 22.8. You multiply that with that balance that you always carry forward, if $1,500 in tax in interest you pay the bank. because you're not paying your balance at the end of each month.
Yeah, obviously this is an average
That's
amount.
each year, right?
No,
Yeah,
this-
each year.
Each year, but that's the not, and this number increased by $200 compared 1 year to another year.
Yeah, so essentially 6,300 balance that you keep in your account throughout the year, you're gonna end up paying 1,500, like more of, in addition to that.
And they kind of revolving because it's like you never catch up. Like you moving the balance to the next month, the next month, the next month.
Banks try to discourage you from paying more.
Yeah.
I experienced that.
Yep.
Last year I said, well, I had the fortune, I said, I'm putting 150,000 on my equity in my home. They said, oh no, you don't really have to do that right now, you can just.
Yeah,
own
just
it."
keep
Keep it
in
trimming.
mind,
Yeah.
yeah, keep in mind, banks, they're for-profit business, right?
And they
For-profit, and
they
they're
make
for-profit.
$1,500 without any.
So their profit comes from you not paying, right, your balance, your full balance. So don't let the bank tell you what to do with your money in your
Uh-huh.
accounts.
Wait, what is credit score? Credit score is a 3-digit number that goes from 300 to 850 to tell the person that you're lending your money how trustworthy you're paying you're paying back. The credit score comes from your credit report. I always say the credit report is the exam that's all your debt that you own, like your credit card, your car loan, your mortgage, all that extra debt is going to be in your credit report. How well you're behaving in the credit report gives you your grade, that's your credit score. Any question about that? And the credit report there is using past behavior. That means it uses your payment history, how good your, how the time you have the account open, your utilization percentage. We're going to go one by one in the later slides.
So who determines what the credit score is? Who determines it? So there are 3 bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. They're the ones that basically give you this score. They are privately owned, so the actual formula on how to calculate the score, the exact number, is not available. But we do know what factors contribute to that formula. So those are the 3. Why does it matter? Why does the credit matter? You may all.
Credit matters because you can obtain things.
Yep, you can obtain things. We've had students that they apply to jobs, and depending on the type of job you're getting, you could also have a credit score check. So like if you're in like the financial industry and things like that. So it's not just to get a mortgage or like rent. It goes beyond that, and it could also impact employment as well.
And also if you're going to buy utilities, stuff like that, also if you go,
Yeah.
just check your credit score even for approving the utilities.
Well, I wanted to ask this question though. With the 3 credit bureaus, is the monitoring mostly for people like us? Because a couple years ago, I did security for Experian. They were in New York in the Marriott, and they had all these billionaires and millionaires at this one seminar. And a lot of them were bankrupt, like the Trumps. And I said, well, how are they able to buy property if they've been bankrupt? And the person that's representing the credit bureau says, well, we speak to the bank for them. But
Because
nobody speaks to the bank for us.
it's not for, cause you're looking at it, you're right, cause we're both different, right? They're not buying assets to live in, they're buying assets to make money. So when they file for the loan, it has to show, okay, if I give you this money, how much money are you making off of it? Is the monthly money that you're getting enough to cover my loan that I'm giving you and a little bit for you? So yes, you're right, they are bankrupt, but they're not buying the trunk or the person, they're buying the deal, and that's the difference.
And also, it's a business loan. If it's a business loan, it's
Yeah,
different.
depends.
They buy an investment, but they're also buying the reputation or I wouldn't say reputation, but the history. Don't have the right word, but they know what he's done before. They know what these people have done before, and their capability of doing it. So they'll give them a shot again. They lost this, but they know that they could probably do it again. When you and I go that without that type of credibility or basically
History.
credibility to that history,
Yeah.
they were like, no, I
Yeah,
can
and,
score.
and that is a loaded question because, you're talking about, billionaires that have like a business structure set up. And just because they're bankrupt in a business doesn't mean they're bankrupt at their personal level as well. And they could have like assets, businesses could have assets, personally they could have assets that could be used in some sort of way, So it's a loaded question, but.
And the next thing, which one the bank use, which credit score? That
So-
depends, because depending on how risk is the mortgage. Mostly, if a low risk loan for the bank, like a car payment, like a car loan, they're going to use only one. They're going to be whoever they have the best relationship. If that car loan is a high risk for you, they're going to use all three. And they're going to sell whoever is in the middle. It depends if the bank consider a high risk, like a high risk or a low risk loan. And that's case by case.
And this is, again, generally speaking, right, each lender kind of decides, what they wanna use and how to use it, so, but it's mainly based off risk. So if it's like he said, if it's a lower risk, they would most likely only pull one of the three, scores. But if it's a higher one, that they just pull all of them and typically go with the middle one.
And a low risk and high risk also depend on the person. Each person, depending your credit score and your history, like Dan was saying, you have a history that also give you a bank if you're low risk or high risk. Each person is separate, it's different. Now, how the FICO score is calculated? Something I forgot to mention, FICO is a different entity. And they're the one that create the formula and sell it to those trees. FICO is a different entity, that's why you have the FICO score, and we're going to go about a different score, but FICO is a different entity that make money out of that one.
So how is FICO calculated?
FICO is a weighted average formula that means of these five have to equal 100%. Out of those five, which one you think is they have the highest weight in the formula? You see, this is the most important thing for them when they calculate your credit score.
Anyone? So either payment history, total debt, length of the credit history, new or recent credit, and type of credits.
Who do you think is they have the highest weight?
Which one's the highest?
Total debt. Total debt.
Total debt. Anyone else thinks differently?
Payment history?
Huh?
Payment history?
Payment history, okay.
Payment history have 35% of the weight. That means when you do the calculation, payment history is to have the biggest weight. That's the reason when you pay your mortgage
Timely.
timely and you say like you see you pay and it's paid off, you see your credit score goes down instead of up. Because you see here payment history is 35% of your, well, you lose the mortgage, most of the people, the mortgage is the longest loan in the history. Just in case, that's something that you have to think about. When you're seeing your credit score, if it goes down, not necessarily means something bad, it's that you lose your longer history sometimes.
So yeah, making sure you're paying on time.
Every debt, as small as it is,
Mhm.
like anything.
Anything.
Like
If you're
normally,
using credit, anything.
normally the payment history, the one that have the biggest weight is your first credit card. Because we do the longest.
But payment history, it's like all your accounts that you have open at that, like, every credit line, every mortgage, every loan that you have open.
What about services?
Like,
What do you mean?
Like storage, cell phones?
No,
and
that
all
one,
No,
no,
no.
but that's not, that's not,
That-
that's
that's
not,
not
that's
credit.
not a loan. That's like you're paying as it is.
That doesn't count.
No, because unless it's a loan.
Oh, okay.
unless it's
to
on
be
your
a-
credit, yeah.
It has
So
to be
like-
in credit, like a loan to you.
Cell phone opens or no?
No, because it's not a loan. Unless you have a loan with the company. It has to be a, if it's not a
So
loan,
they just
Yeah.
registered the loans, not your payment, like if you pay several things in a month, they don't count that. It has to be a
But that's called a
payment for
credit.
the loan.
But that's a credit, has to be
See,
put in
okay.
credit, that's a credit report.
Okay.
So typically, your traditional credit will be like those loans, like they say, in car loans, credit cards, mortgage, student loans, signature loans, stuff like that. You do have some non-traditional stuff that you could request to be reported on your credit report, so if you don't have other credit, you could like use that
To boost
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
to boost.
to boost it.
Mhm.
And that'll be like your like utilities, phone, but you gotta call, you
Mhm.
gotta get the information, you gotta pay.
So I have to
To have-
get into debt to create credit.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Cause without it,
Yeah.
it's all to create a history, so we can see your credibility, your history. So without a history,
Yeah.
we don't know what you are, so you just have zero credit.
Yeah, and that reminded me, I don't think we mentioned it before, but you're right, you can go into the bureaus and request, if you're working on your credit, you can boost it, you can ask them, like he mentioned, to add like other accounts that don't necessarily,
Our
you know,
credit.
your credit, but it will show that you are, paying timely and, you know, that you're reliable essentially.
So the reason you'll do that, let's say you rent and you plan on buying a home, you don't have credit because you listen to Dave Ramsey, right? So you don't have no credit, but you wanna establish a credit score so you could do stuff like, you could plan ahead, you could do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And the one thing before we change for payment history, let's say you're playing the numbers game, do not close your longest credit card at that moment. Because that one give you the most points, if you close it, you lose those points.
Yeah.
That's only you're playing the numbers game.
Also, when it comes to payment history, if you do, pay a bill late, just make sure that you pay, the one that is late and the current one, so you kinda need to double the payment, so that you kinda stay current, otherwise you're gonna be behind a month
That's
every.
like the credit card that we saw, that's a lot of people that have that balance because they always late paying. And they're not paying this month balance and they leave it to the next month. And that's why you call it revolving, because you're always moving balance from this month to the next month.
Can you make an extra payment per month? Will that boost your score?
Yes. We're going to
As
go,
opposed to waiting month to month, if you can pay a double.
now I will go down, that will be the next one, a month owed. That means how much of your available credit are you using? Example,
So I think his question a little different, you're talking about paying more than your minimum balance to
Mhm.
reduce it, he's talking about paying like your January payment, you go in January, but you're gonna pay January, February, and March to be ahead, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you could put an extra payment as opposed to waiting month to month,
you can do it.
will that boost the score?
No,
Not
not necessarily,
necessarily.
it's just that they're just gonna say, is it timely or not, kind of thing, so it's not necessarily gonna say, yes, it's timely and also
Ahead.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
March.
It's not one of those.
It's just
things,
timely,
30
they
days,
just see it
60 days,
timely.
90 days late,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Cause I understand the other part, not paying the minimum, paying more than you can.
And the next one is the amount owed. I mean, let's say you have a credit card that give you $10,000. How much percent at the end of the month you can have at the end to not affect your score? Let's see, on a 10,000 credit card, 5,000. The real answer is $3,000. If you are at the end of the month, if you only have a $10,000 limit and you have more than $3,000 at the end of the month, that's going to affect your credit score.
Yeah.
Because you cannot have more than 30% of your utilization. Anything over 30% make your credit score go down. 30 to 10, it give you some point, but it's not that much. It's like almost like a net zero, kind of. 10 or less, 10% or less, that's when you have the biggest amount of point. That means if you have a $10,000 credit, at the end of the month you have to have $1,000 or less in your balance.
Yeah, so like 30 and 50%, it's not hurting you, but you're not necessarily increasing your score, right? So you're like right in the middle. It's like, okay, I'm paying, or I'm doing the right thing, but I'm not necessarily you're not either going one way or the other. You're just kind of like stuck in the middle. So if you do want to increase your score, it should be less than 10%. that's where you're gonna get the most amount of points. And like I just said, 30, 50, it's not gonna hurt you, it's not gonna do great. You could get, some points, but it's not gonna give you the most points, and then anything over 50 would hurt your score.
And then the next thing is length of credit history. That's the same thing with the mortgage. The longer you have the longer you have that debt in your book,
It shows that you're less risky, right? So it's your credit worthiness.
that's when you pay your mortgage, you lose your payment history and you lose your longest length in your history. That is it goes down. And then you have new credit, and when you put also when you're doing the mortgage, that can help. Can think about it. They say do not open a new account. It's one of the rules. The new credit. It going to make this formula change, and this formula change, you have to start the process all over again.
Now, so what is a good credit score? This is not according to us. This is according to Experian. So let me take the versions. So according to Experian, anything over 670 is considered good. So yeah, that's a fact.
And this
Excuse me,
Huh?
what is the requirement to buy a house?
that depends. He can talk about it.
Yeah. That's
That- That's a dumb question.
That's a loaded question.
Because of the score, so it's not like you have to have 700 points or 700 scores so you can purchase a house. It's not like that.
That's just one.
That's just
Oh.
one
There's a
item.
lot of different
If
programs out there.
you
could
want a
buy
little
one.
bit more details on that, maybe we can connect later. Dan, he works in the,
It's for the future, so I just wanna,
mhm.
okay.
Okay, so VantageScore.
Vantage, so this is a new, remember I told you, FICO is a privately company that have created the FICO score. That's like not most people technically know about. So this is the new one called VantageScore. VantageScore was created within the all three company, Experian, all three come together. They said, we don't want to pay FICO anymore. Let's come together and create our own credit score. And they create VantageScore. That's this instead of having 5, they have 6 categories. That's the one that you see over there.
That's it.
But the biggest difference between Vantage and FICO is that Vantage is use AI to calculate your credit score. What that mean? Vantage is more like up to date. And FICO, you have to wait like a 6-month period to see the changes. Vantage is almost immediate. Because with AI, they can make some projection out of your numbers. And you can say, this is not going to use anymore. Most of the big banks already use Vantage as their score. And almost like 6 months, 5 months ago, the federal government just approved that the federal mortgage can start using Vantage score as their score also. Yeah, little by little, it's going to become the score instead of FICO. That's what you need to know about Vantage, because if you go to your bank app right now, you know one of the big four, you can see that it's going to tell you Vantage score, and they're going to tell you which version of the Vantage score they're using. We're using the 3. Right now they're in the 4.0, and they're going to tell you we're using the 3.0, the 5.0. You can check in your bank, they're going to tell you which version of the Vantage score they're using.
Yes.
Which one?
Right now they're 4 version. They're right now in the 4.0. If you check your app, I use Chase. Check out this is your score according to Vantage score. Right now for the free one, they're using 3.0. Yeah, this is your Vantage score according to 3.0.
So in addition to that, available credit, the additional factor that they consider, just keep in mind because they use AI, they're tracking more your behavior, more like on a day-to-day. So you can go from 1 month to another. It could increase significantly and it can drop significantly. With FICO score, with the traditional score, it's more like a snapshot as of this day for this amount of period. But for Vantage, it's just all the time. It's updating itself because it's kind of tracking what you're doing, almost on a day-to-day. So just to recap everything that we already mentioned, so how to increase your credit score if you're working on your credit score. Pay your bills on time. Always pay it on time. And if you're behind, make sure to do that catch-up payment. So double it, so like pay the one that's late and pay the current one so that you're on time.
And just a reminder, if in FICO score, if you miss a payment and they put in your credit report, you're not going to see the change of you paying timely until 6 months, just in case, if the payment goes to your credit. One of the questions that we always have, like, they're going to give me a grace period if I miss a payment, a miss a month. The only person that knows about is the lender, because the lender is the one responsible to report to your to report to the credit report. If they want to give you a grace period, it's in each lender is different. Just in case, they're the one that decide if they're going to. You miss one, you pay it, they don't report anything because of the paperwork. They're the one that decide if they're going to report or not to the credit report, just in case.
So the other item, how to increase your credit score, lower your utilization. 10% or less boosts you more. 30, 50, it gives you some points, but not really. Anything over 50, it's gonna hurt you.
If you're playing the numbers game and you're planning to buy a house or a car, do not close any credit card account right now, because that one is going to reduce your credit score. Like you say, you have your lend and your payment history is attached to that credit card. If you don't care, if you don't plan to buy anything in credit, you can close, and then after 6 months, the formula is going to rebalance again.
So when they, like the second phone, like was the top 5, those are 5 things. The second one was the debt, what they talk about is debt utilization, what he's saying. So what's your ratio between what's your credit limit versus what you have, what your balances are. So if you are paying off debt, right, cause that's a great thing, we teach that, but when you close those accounts, and you still have balance in the other ones, when you have reduced your ratios from like 80 to 60 to 40, but then you close that account, now your ratio probably went back up. It's a mathematical thing, so you wanna keep those accounts open, but with the balance down, so you have that, it's just a formula, your availabilities on the bottom, your balance on the top. So you want that availability high, you want the balance low, keep the ratios as high as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we get a lot of questions about this topic in particular about closing accounts. Keep in mind, if you don't have like any purchase that you're trying to make in the near future, and you're like, I don't need this anymore, period. It may be okay, right? Yes, you're gonna get hit, your score is gonna decrease temporarily, but it's just gonna go back up.
And the formula is going to fix this one in 6 months.
So if you're just keeping a credit card with an annual fee, let's say you have a credit card with an annual fee, you don't need it for anything. You don't need it for anything. You're not trying to purchase anything that you would need your score, right, to be higher. Then at that point, I would say it probably makes sense to just close it.
Sorry. How many credit cards do you recommend to like?
No.
We don't recommend any.
That
Build the
depends.
scores.
That depends the person. Normally, you can have one. You can build credit. That each case is separate. That's how.
You don't need multiple necessarily to build your credit score.
Yeah, I can do it just with one.
You could do it with just one.
The crazy, I've seen people with like a high 700 credit scores with one credit card 500 limit. Balance is 0.
Mm-hmm.
The limit is 500.
Yeah.
750 credit score.
But that depends. Each person
That's
is
the only
separate.
thing that's there.
Yeah.
Secured cards.
Each person is different.
And then another way to increase your credit score is to correct any errors in your credit report. So every year, everyone gets a free report from annualcreditreport.com. and you can see what your report, what we encourage you to do every year is to go through that report and just make sure that everything is there is correct, because there's still humans, maybe not anymore, but there's humans are the ones that put that information in, right? So if humans put the information in, there's gotta be errors, right?
And one of the error common, like let's say you have a social security similar to another person, like the difference is only 1 digit.
Yeah, typos,
They
things
can
like that.
put stuff in your, if you have a brother that has similar name, it can go also in your credit report and vice versa. That's why it's always good to, maybe you have, they duplicated the debt in your credit report. Instead of having one card, they put the same card twice in your credit report.
Yeah.
And they say that you have the loan twice. That is always double check it. And if you find like an error, you can go to consumerfinance.gov, have a letter, put the support. You cannot say, this is not mine. You have to show the evidence why this is not mine. You just have to show like it's not only writing, you have to show something of why it's not mine, and send it to them. We always recommend sending by mail, not by email. Why? Email, they can answer quickly. Mail, they have to open the mail. And it's more tedious work. And they have a certain time to answer you. If not, they have to agree with you.
Yeah, so they're actually the ones, they're responsible to prove to you that the account is yours. However, if you find an error, you're like, no, this is actually not me, or I don't have this account, or this is duplicate, then you do this letter and you put description on it.
But you need to show
Yeah,
support.
you need to show something.
Like let's see, like they say that you have a mortgage or in another state that you're living, you have to show that I'm not living over there, I don't have any attached to that state. There's no way that this property is mine. Or you have to show support, some kind of support.
And this
But
is
that happened to my dad.
and this is the information in all three credit bureaus. If you do need
No, that is the
to,
problem. My dad have that mortgage issue, and he had to show that he does not live in Minnesota.
yeah, he had to prove that
He
he wasn't a
need to prove-
resident.
To the lender or to who?
To the lender.
To the lender.
To the lender that he's not living in Minnesota.
That's what the lender requested him? to
Yes.
do?
There-
The lender requested him to do that, but
Yeah.
for us, fair credit reporting, that is the
Oh,
lender's
yeah,
responsibility.
exactly, if it's, I agree.
That's true, but right now the lender is going to go, how do
Yeah.
show me the support that you're not
Yeah,
living?
just essentially, just saying this is not me or this is not mine, it's not good enough, I guess.
For the lender. But that happened to my dad.
Slides are gonna be in the app, so make sure to look it up, but here's the information of all the three credit bureaus. These are the mailing address if you do need to reach out to the credit bureaus. And also, the last tip that we're gonna give you, this is for protection. Freezing your accounts, so you can freeze your credit accounts. You go to the 3 websites, or you can call, and you can, if you do it online, it takes 1 or 2 minutes. You log in, create an account, and you can freeze your credit score. And what it does is that it avoids essentially identity theft. So if someone has your information and they're trying to get a new account, they won't be able to do it. So, but then this doesn't affect your use of your personal cards or anything. It just protects you from identity theft.
And this is really important right now doing it. I used to work for Verizon. We are one of the biggest cybersecurity companies. Verizon, one of the biggest cybersecurity network. And a hacker only with the address was able to enter to a BP account and make a mortgage in less than 5 minutes, only with his address. Because he has this credit score wide open. That's how important this one to be frozen.
And then if you do need to use it, all you have to do is just go back in, log in, and you can click unfreeze, and I think there's some of them may have an option to say just unfreeze it for 24 hours and it locks back within the 24 hours. Any questions?